people do have perceptions and idea of one man having two or more than two wives, which is called polygamy. But you would be surprised to know that it started as a means of managing resources and relationships in India. This thinking of ecological and cultural adaptation was much beyond the interpretation of Western world's colonial mindset, and similarly has been the concept of polyandry, where one woman can have two or more than two husbands. This is far more practiced and accepted than we think and know. This management of relationship and its adaptation to nature and culture was again an ecological and cultural adaptation in different geographical conditions and an equally effective method. You will find it in various parts of the world like Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, North America, and Oceania. But what's interesting is to realize that it was an ingenious practice of Indian culture to practice polyandry, to manage their resources, and given the need it at that time, such as lack of resources, and to manage the large families. So today we have Dr. K. Siddhartha talking to us as a strategic thinker, an earth scientist, environmentalist, knowledge and perception management consultant on polyandry. So here, I welcome you, sir, uh, and thanks for giving your time to talk, for talking to us on this topic. So,
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much. Hmm.
the public perception and idea of polyandry is very different, but all in all, it has been an ingenious practice of adaptation and management. What do you think?
Public perceptions and perceptions are built by people who are weak, who are feeble, who do not go on to have purushartha, and all of those people who think of making a perception because they are suffering from some type of an inferiority complex. You'll find that strong people, people who have sure what you call in Hindi, they don't go on to build perceptions, they go on to go by reality. So public perceptions are always going to be not so correct. Now, coming to the second part of it, the people who go on to build perceptions about polyandry, they are the one who do go on to think and think about women in a completely different manner. And that is why they build a perception. The reality in this case happens to be different. Polyandry in some portions of India, in some parts of India, particularly Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, is practiced as a means of a cultural, ecological adaptation to their environment. This cultural ecological adaptation is in response to a feeble endowment of the resources that the region has. If you do not going to be having a very fertile land, and even the arable land is going to be of a very poor quality, and you cannot go on to multiply your resources very effectively, the conditions are very, very harsh. You cannot go on to support a very large population. Now, in order to curb their population and in order not to increase, not to allow the population to increase to a level where it goes on to be draining on the resources, what we do is, and what we have done is, we have always followed a practice where a woman can go on to marry three husbands. Now, in this process, the number of children that are going to be born, that remains maybe three or four, but then the husbands are also three and four, and the population always remains at a constant level. That is indeed an ingenious practice. It's a type of cultural adaptation. It's a type of a cultural evolution as well, and it also speaks volumes about the strength that the male go on to be having in that region, because it is only strong people, it is only going to be strong male, a stronger man who goes on to see his wife, who goes on to see the girls very, very independent. It is not the prerogative of the poor and the feeble male to see the girls independent at all.
So I have studied polyandry in college, but I was not aware of this because we were not taught the basis behind it. So it's really good to know about it. And but we talk about perception. So given our current social setup, do you think polyandry can be accepted in our current society?
There are two aspects of social setup. The first is the evolution of the society in general, and the second is the cultural evolution associated with it, the cultural evolution in response to the environment. Now, as far as society and the interaction at the people-to-people level is concerned, then it is going to be one of these type of practice that will have evolved. It's a culture. That means the way that you live your life. Even if it is going to be in such a manner and that is going to be acceptable in the society, there's nothing wrong at all, because that is how people have evolved it. But when you're going to see it from another angle of its evolution, everything is right about it. This is largely because it has to be accepted. Who are we to not accept it or not respect it? This is largely because it is born out of a compulsion. It is born out of adaptation. It is born out of the need of the region. It is born out of the need to conserve the resources. It is born out of the need to be respecting the nature. It is born out of the need to be with the people and to bind the people together. It is born out of the need to have a very, very strong bonding as well. So that is how it is.
So, as we talk about managing the resources, so which all countries are still practicing polyandry?
India is in the Himalayan region, in Ladakh, in Tibet, in the high reaches of Ladakh. India does going to practice it, and not only that region, it is going to be also in places like Uttarakhand, some places in Himachal Pradesh as well, where we happen to be practicing it. And when we're going to say that we are practicing it, it basically goes on to mean two things. That is, these are the places where it is prevalent practice. It is a respectable practice. It is a way of a life. It is a very much a respected and a garnered support by the people. Other than that, you do going to find some matriarchal societies as well who can go on to have a transition into such type of a polyandry aspect. This can be Naga family, it can go to be Nair family in India. But other than that, it is also going to be by Maasais, it is going to be by Bushmen in Africa. It goes on to be by, it has been known that it was used to be practiced also by the Incas and Aztec civilizations in South America as well. Now, most of the new world, they do not go to practice it, largely because they're not culturally evolved in such a manner that they can go to respect this part of evolution of a male-female relationship in response to their environment.
So, after after knowing that this is practiced in so many regions and parts of the world, one thing came to my mind is that should it be seen from the lenses of legality? Is it, and also is, when it is practiced in India, but is it legal in India? And if not, should it be legalized in India?
Now, cultural adaptations and ecological adaptations cannot go on to have a brand of legality associated with it. You do going to find Kurgi people who are going to carry arms, and they are allowed to carry arms. That is socially acceptable. That is acceptable even by the government of India. No one goes on to trouble them for that, despite the fact that it is illegal to carry arms in India in a manner that the Kurgis carry it. Now, this is not born out of legality. As we said, it's born out of adaptation to environment, to the nature, respect to the nature, trying to preserve it. So it should not and never be seen from the angle of legality. Who goes in to frame the laws? It is people who are in majority. And perhaps the people who are not in majority, they may be practicing some of those type of social norms, which is going to be perceptually very, very different and unethical to a good number of people. Incidentally, people who are most unethical, they are the ones who talked about ethics as well at the same time. So it should never be, largely because it's a cultural practice, largely because it is born out of need, largely because it is a means to preserve the environment, largely because of all of these reasons that allows the region to all of the reasons or all of the factors that allow the region to have a sustainable development.
Yeah. So you rightly said that this should not be seen from the lenses of legality, which is correct because it's a cultural adaptation. So when we again talk about perception, so is it related to any country, region, religion, or even matriarchal society with which it is considered to be synonymous as a perception?
Yes, sir. It is related to countries. Only those countries can go to follow it where there is an urgent need and which have a very large cultural history. For example, India. For example, Tibetan region. For example, Ladakh. For example, Uttarakhand. So it is associated with countries. It is associated with regions as well. All of these regions that are going to be resource poor, that is where it can be practiced. It is practiced in some of those places which is going to be with some religion as well. So Hinduism, as an example, Sanatana Dharma, as an example, allows you to practice a variety of type of cultural practices because it doesn't want to consider these cultural practices to be bad because you are a Sanatani if you go to believe in God. You are a Sanatani even if you don't believe in. If you are a Sanatani, even you're going to have five wives. You are a Sanatani even if you don't want to be having a wife. You are a bachelor. So it is the strength of it, a strength of Sanatan Dharma that allows it. The last is associated with individual. Only in such type of places and such type of individuals will going to allow it to happen where the male are very strong. It is not the prerogative of the people where the male are very weak, very poor in terms of their mind, in terms of their personality, in terms of the disposition, in terms of thinking. This is a respecting woman is a complete prerogative of a strong male. Wherever the male are not strong, they don't respect it. Respect is given by only those people who deserve that respect and who are stronger.
Strength. So yes, also it came to my mind, and I want to mention here that our Vedic society was like had much more open attitude towards polyandry because we find lot of examples in our writings such as Draupadi, Jatila, and a few more examples are there who and the polyandry was practiced in our history. So just to mention.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes.
But in today's current scenario, can polyandry be considered as a means of exploitation like polygamy is?
Everything can be considered as a means of exploitation. People going to exploit their water resources, they exploit animals, they going to exploit poor people, they exploit everything. Yeah? But the moment it doesn't going to suit their needs, it doesn't going to suit their overall condition, what they're going to do is they label it by way of exploitation. Whereas they may themselves be the greatest exploiter of it. It's not exploitative, largely because how is it that you can go on to say that anything that has evolved culturally for 200, 300 years, or even greater than that, is going to be exploitative? It is about these people. Let them decide whether it is exploitative or not. You cannot go to decide it and define it, what is exploitation, when you yourself are doing it so much. And therefore, it cannot be seen from the lens of an urban people, cannot be seen from a lens of a political angle, cannot going to be seen from a legal angle, cannot going to be seen from a economic growth angle, cannot going to be seen from any angle other than the angle of these people leading their life. And that is ingenious, that is beautiful, and that must exist.
So, having said that, are there any alternatives to this practice?
Why should there be any alternative at all? Why should it has evolved out of a need for of nature, and it will go to remain it in the same manner as well. So it must go to exist.
Sir, it was very enlightening for me, to know so much about polyandry, and it's a completely different perspective for me. And like, I am sure our audiences must have also, gained so much of knowledge today. So thank you for your insights and highlighting the basis and basic reasons of, practicing polyandry. Thank you so much. For more discussions like this, please like, share, and subscribe our channel. And also hit the bell button to get notifications for our further videos. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.